interpretation of the Architecture Review Committee.
So it doesn't read 2 stories above the street level?
2 stories above the first level.
That's the way it reads?
Yes, sir.
The way it's been interpreted?
The way it sets up is that they're approving and have approved several homes with the first story not counting the second and third stories of the stories that count. Again, what you've got here is properties that are just back a little bit off the ocean would love to have unrestricted ocean views, but they don't own oceanfront property. And this is a problem. It's a problem to everybody involved because Mr. and Mrs. Menino, who Frank was president of the association last year, his wife is the secretary, both approved this and approved it over the weekend. And they're in the second position also. There'll be a house built between them and the ocean. Mrs. Romano, who has approved this house as chairman of the Architecture Review Committee, who approved this house as chairman of the Architecture Review Committee in writing.
We did not
Excuse me.
approve this house.
Excuse me, you'll have an opportunity to speak.
No, we didn't.
Yes, you did.
It's not the same house.
Well, that I don't know.
Well, I did.
I was not involved in that. Anyway, they're in the same situation. There's a house going to be built between them and the ocean, and the views that they've enjoyed because of the damage to Summerplace are going to be taken away. And I can understand everybody feeling bad about that. You've got a situation where you've got multi-million-dollar properties because of the proximity to the ocean. You've got a situation where somebody comes in and pays $1 million for a property. They're going to put in something that is commensurate with $1 million property. And they're allowed to do it. It's within the laws, and if they do it based on what we have for an architectural review setup, there should not be a problem for it. Yes?
I understand what you said about your interpretation. I still have the question, what does it specifically say about the 2 stories above one level? Is that in the covenants, or that's your interpretation?
It's in the interpretation, and it's been used.
What's in the covenants?
I don't know. I don't have them in front of me.
I've got them.
What does it say?
Let me ask you this, Bill. Just for my own edification, are you testifying as the president of the association or on behalf of the association or just as an individual?
I'm here as president of the association. I'm also president of the North Beach Civic Association, which has over 2,000 members in that area.
Here they are. No, let Bill help us out. He's the president. He ought to. I'll show you. Section here, and then there's something else here too. Why don't you let him look? Give him to him. Give him to Bill.
What am I looking at? I see the architectural guidelines.
There's section 4 I looked at, and then there's architectural guidelines on the top of it that refer to it.
Article 4, is that what you're talking about?
Yeah. Yes.
I can't find what you're talking about. Did you point it out?
Let me show you. I saw section 4. There's a reference to it here and here. And then there's something down here. Section 4 on page 4. I haven't read them all, but that's what I found.
Fold it back and look at it. This one about having the swimming pool put on the property, is it?
It's page 4, section 4. It's underlined. Somebody underlined it.
Oh, okay, here we go, I got it. No building should be allowed to be erected. It says on here, just as you said, it should not exceed 2 stories in height. However, the 2 stories, because of requirements by both the DEP and by the county, and especially in the past, for houses being built up on stilts, it was decided several years ago that the 2 stories would take place starting past the 1st story, which was considered the stilt story. And that was required both by the DEP and by the county.
That's a policy adopted by the association?
By the board of directors, yes. And that goes back 10 years ago, 12 years ago.
Is this a stilt house?
Is it a stilt house?
Yes, sir.
I don't know. I'm not the architect. I really don't know the answer to that.
Well, I think there has to be a pile feature for the foundation. It's not a stilt house per se. There is a 100-year storm elevation that needs to be met. From a county standpoint, where we look at building height, it's not measured necessarily from the lot elevation per se. It's from the 100-year storm required elevation and the minimum flood elevation, which is typically, I think what he's referring to, typically the 1st floor is for non-living area per se, non-mechanical equipment, garage type space. And then the 1st floor elevation is typically, visually looks like... I understand. I guess my question is that if you take a look at the packet that we received, it doesn't look, it looks like it's enclosed. It looks like a 3-story house. And if we're looking at a petition for a variance to approve a house that looks like it's in violation of the covenants, I mean, I don't know why as a board we'd want to give our stamp of approval to a house that seems contrary to its own covenants. I mean, I desperately don't want to step into the private goings-on of a homeowners association as an advisory board, but this board does have the power of final decision in this matter.
Well, I think probably your point is well taken, and I have, whatever your decision is, I have no problem with it either way. What I have concerns about is that I do know that Dr. and Mrs. Flax have worked very hard to be able to fit the house they want to build onto the property they've got. They have not moved as far eastward as they were allowed to. They came back, I think it was 18 inches, am I correct, Stan? They've moved back 18 inches from where they're allowed to go because of the footprint of the older house. The area that they're asking for the variance on is an area that was covered by decks and walkway on their old house. So it's not really an area that was open in the past. I'm concerned that if they don't get the permit, if they don't build the way they want to build, they can put additional fill on that lot and go up another 6 to 8 feet and get what they want to get by doing something else. There's a lot of ways that we can be hurting the immediate neighbors.